Oliver. It was the day before Christmas, and everyone was walking around in shorts and T-shirts. What's going on? It is a very warm winter in the UK and throughout Europe, right?
It is, yes. So had a very warm December, certainly. And October and November also were pretty warm against long-term
So what does it
averages.
say for the clothing retailers?
Pretty awful if you try and sell hats, gloves, scarves, woolly sweaters, all that kind of stuff. You're going to be left with an awful lot of spare stock. And I think a lot of the analysts who look at the retail sector have started thinking about downgrading some of their forecasts based on what's been happening, because they're not going to be able to sell that. And already discounting has started. The week before Christmas, this should be absolutely peak season for selling at full price. It's a tremendously important time for the retail sector, and yet a lot of them are already discounting stuff just to try and shift the stock, because fashion moving as fast as it does, the same hats and gloves and scarves won't be usable next year for them.
Yeah. But if you're an investor in this sector, in the clothing retail particularly, but retail, weather always seems to come up as a factor. It's either too hot, it's too cold, blah, blah, blah. What's different about this?
In a sense, nothing. You're right. Weather does have an impact. It's sometimes overused as an excuse. Quite often someone will blame the weather for profit warning and you'll think, really? But it does have an impact on retailers, particularly if you sell clothes. You can imagine that with weather very warm, people aren't going in to buy clothes. It's not always warm weather that's the problem. There was a cold snap in 2010, which hit pre-Christmas trading. But I think as an investor in retail stocks, you've got to expect a little bit of weather-related fluctuation from time to time. It's part and parcel of what drives the sector, really.
Yeah, but things are changing even more, because it's not just about the weather. It's comparisons in general are more difficult now, right? We have other factors now. The Black Friday
This
thing.
is it. I think for people invested in retailers, you've got to cope with the weather uncertainty, but there are other types of uncertainty which are far more concerning for them. You mentioned Black Friday. This is an import to the UK from the US, and it's had a big impact last year and this year on retailing. Some retailers, particularly electronics retailers, having to discount early, discounting in November to try and get sales and pull those through early. It's just changing the dynamics of the winter trading period overall. But it's not just that, it's also shopping online and the way people shop online, which is causing more unpredictability. People are apparently becoming a lot more comfortable with returning things they bought online, especially when they've bought things on mobiles. So you don't really know as a retailer, if you've sold something to someone who's bought on mobile, whether they're going to keep that or whether they're going to return it. A lot more uncertainty.
So we'll find out just how tricky this November and December was in the next few weeks. So that's great. Thanks a lot, Oliver.